Good evening, everybody. Oh, excuse me while I close the blind so I can actually see what I'm doing. My name is Osa. It is a Tuesday, and we are playing Railroader. So, new start, new game. What is the name of your railroad? Oh, I did look at that. Whittier City, North Carolina is in blah, blah, blah. Lots of things. Not what I wanted to know. Bryson City. Swain. Okay, that's what I wanted. So we are going to call this the Swain County Railroad. And tab doesn't work. SC. We're going to play company, East Whittier start. This bit here is the only place you can change your save file, unless there might be ways using console commands, but that will be the save name. So, Swain County Railroad, SERR. We're playing in company mode, starting at East Whittier. Go. Now, I might have the volume too low, so I'm going to turn the microphone off for a second and see if I can hear anything. Ooh, I have to ramp that up quite. Okay, can't hear game volume on the thing, but I know I'm transmitting. Anyway, so we own our own railroad. The Atlantic Railroad might not have thought this area was worth their time. Blah blah blah. There's a roundhouse at Bryson. We can't get there. There has been a storm and a flood, and the bridges have washed out. And one of the things we need to do is fix all of that. So we're going to ignore the tutorial. WASD allows you to walk around. And we have some things we need to take care of. So, first things first, we have a bunch of cars over here. I believe we own them all. This is 50 tons of coal. It has nowhere to go at the moment. Right click, inspect, operations. We want to unload coal at East Whittier coal loader. We want to load coal at the East Whittier interchange. So this is the East Whittier interchange. The coal loader is over there somewhere. And we do have a train. We have two trains actually. So we have this one here, 260 Mogul. Yep. And we have this one over here, 460 10-wheeler. And this one is not on the tracks. So, okay. That's a good start. R opens that. So just Control R. There we go. Shift R will re-rail the train, which is a good start. And it's a little bit sensitive as to where I am, and you have to do the re-railing of the train in first person. This is not working out too well. There we go. Okay, that is now on the tracks. Good start. Let's run over here. We are going to need to take that to the engine shed. Okay, little hints I've found. You cannot get on and off the train that's interesting. You cannot get on and off the train on the side inside of a corner. So if I stopped the train like here, where the tracks arc to the right, so straight there, it starts turning. If I try and get on here, I have to get in from the wide side, not the narrow side. Anyway, we have a train. Let's shift, inspect, right click, inspect, select, follow. That now gives us the control panel. It allows me to access AI controls, operations none, equipment, tells you things about it. Customize, we can change the reporting mark, the road number, and the whistle, H for whistle. And we are going to forward. Brakes are off, brakes are off. Put that back on car. You can apply brakes here. Anyway, let me follow the train. That is loud. Good time to check the volume. Good time to check the volume. Good time to check the Okay, I want to stop. So, bottom independent brake is the locomotive brake, top is the train brake. We do not have a train, so we are not fixing anything. We don't have added stopping power there. We'll stick it in reverse. Okay, speed is limited. If you have this at plus or minus 100%, let's follow again. You are pushing the maximum amount of steam into the cylinders. So you will get good acceleration, good traction, good pulling effort. Once you are moving, you get to a point where the train can't push any more steam into the cylinders. And so trying to push all of it into the cylinders is limiting your top speed. So by dropping this a little bit, it will let the train accelerate over 15 miles an hour. But be careful, you go too fast, the train falls off the track, then it gets broken, then you have to fix it. If I drop that back to minus 100, this should limit my top speed eventually. Yeah, my top speed will start falling, but very, very slowly. Anyway, we'll cut off the throttle there. Now, when you are driving a train, it will automatically force its way through the switches. So, this first switch, not set for us, it's going to push that over when we get close. So we can't derail the train doing this. But going forwards, I want to go down the other track. So I left click on there, throws it, that's reversed, that's thrown, so we can now go straight in. I am going to go get our coal car. So it's never a good idea to start with the reverser at a lower value than 100, especially if you're hauling a heavy train. You can end up at the point where you're trying to pump steam into the cylinders and there's just not enough of it to get the train moving. But right now we're running empty, so everything is fine. And because I'm not pumping steam into the cylinders, we are slowly coasting to a stop. If we're going uphill, we're going to stop faster. But for right now, we're good. Now, coupling onto things, do not exceed 5 miles an hour, or things get broken and you have to fix them. That's interesting. It doesn't tell me the decimal point of speed, so speed is in whole numbers. This is fast enough. We have a full coal load, so that's good. And for reference, I am going to completely ignore the tutorial. So, okay. Connecting the brakes. Let's get really close. There are air taps here and here. If they're closed, no air coming out. If you open them, you will hear the air escaping. You will on the other one. So you click on it, drag the mouse, and they're open, but they're not connected, so we now can't move because our brakes are on full. If I connect them up, drop that down, it's now going to pump air into the system. 90 is brakes off, and you can see on the paper doll here, the yellow ones are the locomotive because I have the locomotive brake set on 18. If I put them full on, it'll turn red. That's interesting. If I turn them off, it'll turn white. Train brake will apply brakes on every single car. Now this one is loaded, so we're 145 tons now, and I want to push this out towards the coal dock. Now we have 4.4 tons of coal, about 3,000 gallons of water. We will refill our locomotive, then we'll get the broken one. So always a good idea to connect these brake hoses when you're working with a heavy load. This I would consider a heavy load, although it, in the grand scheme of things, it's only one car, so not too stressful, and I can control the train just using the independent brake if I want to, and that's what we'll do for now. So we'll pull forward past the shed point. Tab will bring up the where it's supposed to go. If I put my mouse on the flag banner, it will highlight where it's heading. So stabber brakes on, and you see we slow down fairly slowly. Switch and back up, and you can check which way you're going to go by where the gap is, where the solid turn is. So we'll back this up. Shut that off again. And we'll apply the locomotive bricks only. We'll left click on that again, and that'll switch us for the coal loader. Now, I think if I put my mouse somewhere around here, it'll tell me how much coal is in the coal loader or not. Okay, so the coal conveyor has 1,000 pounds of coal, 1 ton. And we need to stop quick. So using the train brake will stop us very, very quickly, especially since this is a heavy car. So it's carrying a lot of weight on its brakes, or on its wheels. Push it forward a little bit more. See how that's sitting. Okay, that should do. Don't think I have to open that. Doesn't seem to be emptying, but no worries. Okay, we can right click that, inspect. We can apply the brake here, or if we look at the car, every car has a little handle. I can left click on that and the brake is now applied. So disconnecting the air brake. Oh, and the paper doll, it turns purple if there is a handbrake on. So if I disconnect that again, I didn't close the taps. So we'll close the tap, we'll close the tap. There is a way around that. If I reconnect that, if I press the shift button while I'm holding onto the glad hands, as they call them, and left click that, it will close the tap as well. And then if I hold the shift and left click it, if I just left click it, taps don't move. If I shift and click it, the taps will open. Also, if I shift and click the coupler, the taps will close, these will disconnect, and we are disconnected from the train. Actually, the taps closed, these don't disconnect, but as soon as I pull away, they will just come loose. So, we now have coal in the coal bunker, maybe. Yeah, we now have 2 tons of coal in the coal bunker. And we'll follow the locomotive. No, we'll stop. Click on the eye there, we'll follow the locomotive. Okay, now we are going to refuel our locomotive. Reason I put the tutorial doesn't tell you to put the coal car in immediately, but the reason I've done that now is because I want to fill up that locomotive on the way to the shed. So we pull forwards and slow down lots. Slow down too much. And we need to get that cap in line with the pipe. Might have gone too far there. Click on that to unstow it. And I am leeway in the right place, but let's make it look a little bit more realistic. So as soon as this is full, this will lift up. It will not swing out of the way. So if you drive another locomotive under it, it will just automatically drop down. If I want to stow it, I just stow it. It cannot refill a locomotive over there. Same with the coal. Pull forwards. We drop the coal chute, it will now fill. And there's only 2 tons of coal in here, so once the 2 tons is filled, it has to wait to reload from the car before it can give you another 2 tons of coal. We can take 6. So you'll see it fills up as it goes. 1.7, 1.6, 1.5, 1.4, and it should refill to 2. There you go. So it's taken some out of here. So this is no longer 50 tons. We'll stow that back up again, and we will roll forwards. And we will follow. I'm going to put that down the bottom there. So, train we want is over there. It's on this spur. So, as soon as we cross there, independent brake. Actually too quick. You have to make sure you're clear of the switch rails in order for that to switch. And if you're not clear, you can't brake anything. You just get a message, something's in the way, you need to get the thing out of the way first. Anyway, let's back this thing up. And this is actually downhill, so we will accelerate past the normal limit of 15 for the plus minus 100 on the reverser, so I need to start slowing down. Now if I inspect that, this is at 100%. And inspect the tender 100%. Oh, we're doing 6 miles an hour. That might have been a bad thing. No, we didn't break anything there. So this locomotive is in a sorry state. 70%. The tender is also 70%, so no big deal. There's no air in the brakes. The handbrake's released, so we are good to leave. I'm not connecting the air up, so we've got that little yellow explanation mark there. So this thing, however, is 0 coal, 0 water. I'm going to rectify that on the way back to the shed. The reason I want to do that is if I don't, that locomotive will get repaired in the shed, but then I'll have to use the mogul to bring this out to the refueling point before I can use it. I'm not going to, and we're going uphill, so I need a little bit of power here. Now, the line is only open as far as Ela, which is a couple of miles down the track. And for now, we can actually get away with just using these 2 locomotives. They're not very powerful, but that really doesn't matter too much. Okay, Paper Doll says train. That's the driving train. Normally the driving train is the lead locomotive. So actually, you know what I need to do is get over here and get this thing lined up as we approach. So both locomotives running at 10 miles an hour. because they're connected to each other, surprisingly. So introduce a little bit of braking. Actually, we can probably leave off the brakes for a minute. And we'll lower the chute. And while we're here, going to... The wheels on this locomotive's are approximately the same size. These might be a little bigger, which theoretically means it's a little bit faster. But if we go that button there, we have a G16 mogul, 16,000 pounds of tractive effort, and the 10-wheeler is 16,900. So a little bit more tractive effort, but not a significant amount. This also has 3,400 gallons of water. The mogul has 4,000. It has 3 tons of coal. The mogul has 6. So the mogul's going to be able to go out and about a lot further than this guy is before he needs refueled. Anyway, we should be close to 3 tons here. And done. Stow that. Open that. Release the brakes. Shuffle this back a little bit to there. Okay, little house there is our company thing. We have no reputation at the moment. Daily reports compiled at 6 p.m. So we hit 6 p.m. tonight. This will all update. We have £5,000 in the bank, dollars in the bank. Locations, we have Connolly Creek, which is a series of log production and pulpwood production sidings. We have the East Whittier engine service, which with the latest patch you automatically have a crew, $50 a day per car. We're going to have 2 cars, but we're not going to be working on them full time. Reputation bonus is 0, wages due is 0. We have 25 tons of repairs and 2 tons of coal in the coal loader. That does not include the amount of coal in the coal car. And if we run over to the East Whittier engine shed, which I'll come to here, this is the repair car, which has 15 tons in it, so total 40 tons here. We'll inspect that. I'm going to stick the brake on. Operations, we will unload at the East Whittier repair point, and we will buy spare parts from the East Whittier yard, which is over here. Now if I highlight that, okay, East Whittier repair track is there. If I go back to the little house, the coal loader is there. If I click on the coal loader arrow, it will transport me to it. So if we go to Connolly Creek, if I click on that arrow, this will jump me to the log loading bay. If I go P1, it will take me to the other loading bay. If you're confused, if you put the arrow over the word, it will highlight the track. L2 is up here. L2 is the longest track here, so we can get all 8 of our cars in there. P2 is there. L3 is here. And P3, 4 are over there. Okay, East Whittier interchange. Been to that. So this is the East Whittier interchange in its glory. And 2 tracks. These tracks do not count as part of the East Whittier interchange, but they are quite useful. Holyfield Heating is a business. Again, track here. There's another place, Stenzel Manufacturing, way over there. The Whittier Depot house track is here. This is where the incorporated city of Whittier gets their deliveries. We cannot take a contract out on that. They just say, "Hey, we've got stuff to deliver, you must do it, we will pay you." The Whittier Depot is these two tracks here. Become important in a while. And this window here tells us what's going on. There are 30 passengers wanting to go to Ela, so we might take care of that. Whittier Sawmill has contracts. Road 1 is logs. C2 is this here. Sawdust, wood chips, and that is where the lumber is delivered. We'll find out about those later. Ela Station. We'll go to Ela Station. This place also has 25 passengers waiting to go back to Whittier, so we kind of want to do that. Ela Farm Supply is the only business here, and they're over there. Ela House is this side of that hut. Now, things we need to do. So we need to do a passenger run. We'll do that in a minute. We also need to repair the track and bridge, which costs 1,000. We're going to order that now. We are also going to change that to 1-to-1 real time. And there is a way, locations, East Whittier interchange. I can schedule another delivery at 12:30. So it's 10 o'clock now. Let's do that. So they are going to do a delivery at 12:30. I want that to happen. Now, engine 2 is there. Let's go to here. Oh, we're still backing this thing up, aren't we? So that's now full of water. We can stow that. 3 tons of coal, 3,400 gallons of water. Brakes off. And we will now put this in the repair depot. And if, actually we'll wait until we get there. So again, stick the brakes on. Engine is in the shed. So again, up the little house, East Whittier engine service, repair track, where actually both engines are currently in the repair track. This will now show us we have SCRR1 and the tender, which are at 70%. It will take 5 hours to fix the tender, 13 hours to fix the locomotive, and it's going to use up 4.6 tons of spare parts, so repair parts are already going down. The locomotive itself that we're driving is absolutely fine. So first things first, let's inspect that and put the brake on. So that's not going to roll away. Shift and uncouple. We are good. Let's get out of here. So, and we can follow that. So I can switch between the selected locomotives with this checkbox. So now I am controlling locomotive number 1, locomotive number 2. I can eyeball locomotive 1. I can show the engine on the map. There it is. And I can show the inspector panel, which is this one here. So if I wanted to look at 2, there's 2, eyeball 2, control 2, we're good. Now I need to stop. So slam the brakes on, switch there, and we'll run over here. I need that switched, we have people to do. So back in the train, stick it in reverse and go. Now, some people's philosophy is once you've got number 1 fixed, sell it for money. We are not going to do that. I've found it's quite useful to have at least 2 locomotives, especially while we're building up the route to Bryson. And slow down. Back it up slowly. Okay, and we are connected. And brakes. So, again, holding the shift button, glad hand, connect, the tap will turn, we are now connected, there's no little yellow icon there. The brake is off, this is not purple. But we do need right click, inspect. So, brakes are released, equipment is fine. We need to go to Whittier Depot and Ela Station. Operations, nothing. So that's good. Now we can select the locomotive again. We will follow the locomotive. Now, options. I could now say, hey, let's go AI forward 10 miles an hour. And the train will now head off in 10 miles an hour. Because I've set it up to features blocked by destination, I'm going to change that to somewhat blocked to make it a little bit more challenging. We've wear and tear, we'll do hot boxes, auto engineer, crossing signal, call signals, passenger stops, and we will stop for 5 minutes. And map show switches. Okay, so that's that. Access control is multiplayer thing. We're not set up for multiplayer, so we are good. So now the train is moving along at 10 miles an hour with the AI running it. I can take over, we'll switch back to manual. And let's start hauling. So we will ride the train initially and check out the sites. Actually, while we're here, inspect that. Equipment, customize, base color. Let's go there, apply that, and lettering, white, apply that. And now if we look at that, it's a nice fetching red with white writing on it. So I'm happy with that. We need to set that back to the locomotive again. And we are heading at 28 miles an hour. It's probably a good idea to slow down. You'll see there's a speed limit sign going around this bend here, 25 miles an hour maximum. If you go faster than that, you might start breaking things and then you need to fix them. And when you're fixing things, you have to take them out of service. Anyway, let's start slowing down. So, station building has a water tower, so we can always top up with water. We have to go back to the engine service area to get more coal though. Actually, inspect passengers. So Whittier Depot, as we've shown, was there. So long as at least one, I think it's passenger car, it might be any car on the locomotive, is in that yellow area, we will pick up passengers. And I've checked off both of those. And I did that because if you put it on AI, every station you check, the train will stop at. We'll do that on the way back. But for right now, we are set. So it's registered, we've stopped at Whittier. It's now starting to load all those passengers who want to go to Ela. So there's 15 more of them. So we will wait. Interesting. Okay, all the passengers are on. We have 29 passengers. So, I don't think there's any reason for us to hang around here. Stick it on full power. And let's pull away smoothly. So once we get to about that speed, we can start adjusting the reverser. And the AI seemed to like 60, so we'll go with that. Now in real life, the faster you want to go, the closer you want to take the reverser to 0. In this game, it's a very simplified reverser, so long as it's not at 100, the train will go pretty much fast enough. Crank the throttle up to 100. We'll drop it to 45. And there we go, 30 miles an hour. We'll stick at that for now, and I think a throttle setting of 10 should be good enough to keep momentum. That actually might be too much. So, currently 10 minutes after 12, so we've still got 2.5 hours to wait, minus 12 minutes. Now, until we've opened Bryson, I'm not going to be too fussed about pulling the passenger car. I do want to run around when we get to Ela, because I want to be at that end of the train. Oh, we're doing 33. Now there is a speed limit up here. M for map. So I am here, speed limit of 30, so I do want to make sure I'm not exceeding 30 miles an hour when we get to that bend. So feed on a little bit of brake pressure. Okay, 9 miles an hour is safe. But you have to be careful. If we're going downhill, this is going to tick up slowly and you can get into disastrous situations. So yellow speed limit sign is maximum speed. The next speed limit sign will be on the left side because it's on the right side coming from the other direction. This one is painted green, saying 30 miles an hour is no longer in effect. So now we can accelerate back up again. So we will accelerate to whatever speed. Doesn't matter, that was the only restricted speed along this segment of track. But Ela is just around the bend in front of us, so time to start feeding the brakes. Is Ela around the corner? Yes, there's the sign. Now, the other thing about using the train brake is the longer the train, the longer it takes to release the pressure, or increase the pressure to release the brakes. So you want to be very careful. If you slap it all the way up to the top and you've got a 20-car train, it will take you a while to get the brakes off, especially on a small locomotive like this. Bigger locomotives have better air capacity, so you can release the brakes faster, but even there it can be a little bit troublesome. So now we check here, 29 passengers, we are in the station area, so there we go. People will get off, we will get paid, and then we will pull forwards, run around the train and hitch up onto the back of the carriage. Or from our perspective, the back of the carriage. It will then become the front of the carriage because we will be returning to Whittier because there's nowhere else to go. Oh, that's another thing. If we go to locations again, we now have the Ela Bridge site, which is here. Big long spur, which ends in a washed out bridge. And then there's more tracks on the other side. So we are contracting with a building supplier to supply us with spare parts for the track, or for the bridge. Tilde key, the one next to the 1 key, will show us we have $5,000. We put the train back on the track. We sent a payment of $1,000 somewhere for some reason. Why did we do that? Okay. Oh, yes, we sent a payment of $1,000 because we ordered cars for phase 1 of the bridge repair. Okay. We arrived in Ela station, 29 passengers for $29. So let us pull this thing forwards. So nobody on the train. or 60. And when doing this, make sure you've pulled past the switch so that you don't hit the car coming back the other way. Alrighty. So again, I want the handbrake on here. I will apply it there. Shift on the coupler, and we have disconnected completely with, whoops, with the air pipes closed off. Have lights on the train. You can make them green, red, or green both. Front also has some marker lights, I think. Yes, white or green or off. That's the limit of marker lights. Left click them if you want them in different colours. I don't. Okay, nearly at the end. Close off the throttle. So while there's only one locomotive, I'm probably going to do a lot of the driving. Once the other one is available, we'll be using the AI more frequently, but we will go through the AI usage for now. And I want to switch that back to straight. And eyeball back to the locomotive. So I'm going to check off Ela and Whittier on the passenger car. You can only inspect one vehicle at a time, so I've got the passenger car open for now. Okay, it should be good. Not supposed to speed through the yards. Although this isn't a yard, it's a passing loop. It's kind of inconvenient because the Ela stop is there, so if a passenger train is in Ela, nobody can get by. And that's good. So mark it forwards, make sure the switch is set correctly, and we will in the real world, sometimes what they would do is they would come to a stop before they hit the car, and then they would apply a little bit of steam and just roll in slowly. There we go. And sometimes you just overcook the brakes and come to a stop before you get to where you want to go. Okay, so we are now connected to the car. The car is set to call out Ela and Whittier. I am going to say AI road. We're going in reverse. We're going to limit ourselves to 25 miles an hour. Because we're running a tender engine in reverse, so it's not a thing in the game, but typically you would not run a tender engine too quickly in reverse because this is light, this is heavy, and it can lead to issues if you're not careful. Anyway. Back this up to here. The AI will automatically stop at the station, and it will now wait for 5 minutes and load the people. We have 20 passengers waiting. And while it's sitting here, if more people turn up while it's waiting, they will just get on the train while it's sat here. I find 5 minutes is about an adequate thing. 10 minutes is a little bit too long. Especially at the moment, we're going to be running multiple trains on the tracks at the same time. So I don't really want to have the passenger train stopped here in the way of everything. Okay, locations. I'm going to go back to the Whittier sawmill and to the R1 track. I'm going to select one of these. Operations, unload. There's nowhere to unload it to. Load. I'm going to load from L2 because L2 is big enough to take this rake of 8 cars. I'm also going to copy waybills to the coupled cars. So if I look at this car, it has nothing. If I go back to this one, it's set to load at Connolly Creek, and if I copy the waybills, copied to 7 others, if I now look at this one and inspect it, operations, it's now got load logs at Connolly Creek 2, and its current destination is L2. But you could also see that if I hover over it, it says I'm currently going to Connolly Creek L2 and I am empty. So that's all fine and wonderful. So that's all set for me to take up to L2 and load with logs. I want to go back to locomotive number 1. We'll right click that, inspect. Passenger operations, we still only have 20 people on board. Now the other thing these houses tell us is how many passengers are waiting and where they want to go to. It's also telling us what freight bills are available to be worked here or close to here. This is the, it's some radius distance. Obviously Ela only consists of these 2 locomotives. If we go down to Whittier, that covers Connolly Creek, Whittier Exchange, the service yard, the sawmill, the 2 businesses close by. So, a lot more area. We stopped at Ela, that's unchecked now. We now have 22 people on board, so 2 people turned up while the train was just sat here. 10:26, tilde to bring up the messages. We arrived at 10:22, so about 10:27 the AI will give us a hoot on the horn and will pull away and not exceed a speed of 25 as we head back down to Whittier. And we've already killed half an hour, so that's good. Doopy doopy doo, come on. I'll leave that open for a minute. There we go, 10:27, so exactly 5 minutes. Obviously we didn't arrive at 10:22 on the dot, it was a couple of seconds after. But this should, in a moment. I mean, we could have arrived at 10:22 and 59 seconds, in which case we're going to wait until almost 10:28. Come on. You can do it. Let's go train. Oh, now on the equipment, where I did the customize, this here lets me copy the colours to connected cars. So if I buy another another passenger car, connect this to it, I can then copy that exact shade of red and white. Anyway, we're moving, 1027, we are departing. And over the course of, I think this went on to pre-release 7 months ago, over the course of 7 months, the AI has become a lot more trustworthy. It doesn't hunt. It used to, if it was pulling up at a station, it would pull up at a station and then it would move a little bit and then it will stop, and it would move a little bit and then it would stop, and eventually it would decide, yeah, I'm kind of in the right place, slam the brakes on, come to a stop, and then people would get on and off. It was quite annoying. And if you were on a station on a grade, it could have absolute nightmares trying to figure out where to stop, because it has this precise stopping point and it wasn't quite on it, so it would come to a stop and it would not be moving, but it would not have its brakes on, so it would roll away from the precise spot location, so it would then have to move again and stop and roll back and stop and roll back and stop. And yeah, if you're not watching the train, it could be doing that for ages, and you end up wondering, why isn't it unloading yet? And it's hunting. So you would then have to come in and say manual, stick the brakes on. Okay, now it's stopped because it was in the station. Now the AI is a little bit more forgiving, and so long as a passenger car is in the station, it's happy. This is sufficiently good enough type of thing. So we're running back. If I inspect that, so that's already at 71%. They're slowly fixing it. And actually I want to be passenger car. So we left Ela with 22 people. We'll get paid $22 when we get to Whittier. And 10:30. 2 hours until the bridge supplies arrive. So I'm not taking any of these contracts at the moment because my limit is tier 1 contracts, and that's based on my my reputation, and I don't have a reputation. 000 new contractor tiers tier 1. So we will wait until tomorrow. Now tomorrow the only thing we'll have done is do passengers, but we will have a reputation of moving passengers around. That gives us discounts and it allows us to go up to tier 3 so long as our reputation is in good standing, and our reputation will be in excellent standing, at least for now. The other thing you can do, customize base color. This is the hex code for that particular shade of red. I can highlight that, Control C, and copy it to other vehicles that you can paint. So let's do that. So if I take that, highlight that, it's just a left click on that field, Control C, close that off, and let's go locations, Whittier engine service, coal loader, and I can right click that, inspect that, equipment, customize, base color, paste, apply. And that's now the colour of our coal car. I can also run over here to our boxcar of supplies, and let's do the same thing for that. So everything's going to be red. Left click there, Control V to paste the colour, and now we have a nice red boxcar. Now hopefully no other business will be using that particular shade of red. I can go back to the locomotive again. Oh, we're approaching Bryson. Let's stick with the locomotive for now. I will double right click, inspect, equipment, customize. I will take E6, 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 copy that, close that off. So locomotives, there's no painting them. Or steam locomotives, there's no painting them. This will now come to a halt. Too long blast, short blast, long blast. We're approaching a crossing. Please do not park your cars on the crossing. That's basically what that meant. One hoot. He's come to a stop. He's done his job. We will put the handbrake back on again. And we will shift and click the coupler. And we'll wait for a minute. Oh, actually, we'll stick that on 0. And if we wait for a minute, passengers, we have 10 passengers left to unload. And now we should get paid. There'll be a little message there, and it will duplicate onto the log. There you go. Whittier Depot received $22. We're now going to back it out to the yard. I'm going to run over here. I'm going to switch this because the next thing to come through here will be the Ela bridge supply train in 2 hours. So click that one, get on the train. I'm going to go to the train inspector. I'll head round this corner. I'm going to switch there as well. So we want to go up to Connolly Creek with our wood cars. Get some logs. Or we're going to get the log cars loaded. I'm not going to bring them back yet because we don't have a contract for them. I just don't see a point in leaving them idle in this siding and then have lots of stuff to do tomorrow. And one of the things is to take the log cars up to L2. We'll take them up now. We'll get them loaded and they can just sit there loaded up at the lumber yard or the forestry yard thing. Okay. Drop down to 15 miles an hour. How are we doing on fuel? Still got lots of fuel, lots of water. This locomotive has a lot of fuel and water. So it's one of the more, it's our most capable. The other one has a little bit more power, but it doesn't have the fuel capacity. So we'll switch that. Now I'm going to change this to AI yard mode, which now gives me forward and reverse. And how many car lengths do I want to go? I'm going to guess 10, which I know is already wrong. And it's going to tell me it's clear for 10 cars, and it's going to move forwards for 10 car lengths. And you'll see it's counting down as it clears the car lengths. Now it knows there's nothing within 4 car lengths, so it can go up to 15 miles an hour yard speed. 2 cars, 1 car, and less than a car, it'll stop. And that'll do. So now I'm going to tell it, well actually that wasn't far enough, let's go 5 more. Now it's detected this car here, and it's saying it's approaching that car. That car is within 5 car lengths. It may only be 4, it may be more. But it's going to limit its speed. It's now set itself to couple to that car. So 3 miles an hour coupling speed. There it goes. And doink, we are connected. Now, little yellow warning triangle. I need to connect that. Shift and click the glad hands. It's connected. No brakes on. No purpleness. If that brake was on, it would be purple. It's not, we're good. So we'll stick that in reverse. We're going to go 20. Let's see how far that gets us. I'm going to pull up the map. And this switch here goes up to Connolly Creek, and it's set to go up to Connolly Creek. Now I want to find L2, which is over here. That's set for L2, that one is not. So I'll click on that little black dot, switches, that's now all set for L2. Let's go back to there. If I press 9, it will take me to the trail car. Now 4 more lengths. I don't think that's enough. 2. We're going to end up with this car on the switch. So again, I can't switch anything. .006 is in the way. Now, if I go 2 car lengths, that should be more than enough. That should take the end of the train to there. There you go. We'll switch that. Now I'm going to change that back to road, forward, 25, and while he's leaving the yard, I'm going to come back over here, inspect, equipment, customize that colour, a little bit brighter white, and we'll come over to this car and inspect, equipment, customize, and that's sort of a dull grey, and apply a sharper white on that. Okay, so let's go back to this thing. So we are pushing this train. It's probably not good practice to run very, very light log cars in front of a train at 25 miles an hour. Just saying, the game will not break them, so we can get away with it. I do not need that screen up, so let's go back to inspecting number 2. And we'll just follow this up to the the yard. But you'll see what happens when the AI reaches the end of the tracks. And there we go. Everything's still working. And now we're slowing down. Oh, we're slowing down because there's a switch against us. 9 will take me to the trail car. And let's run over there. I could have done this from the map, or I can do it from here. There we go, switched. And now the train will accelerate. Track speed is 20 miles an hour, so it will not exceed 20 at this point. Then problem is you can't tell what the track speed is unless you know the tracks. We're only doing 15 at the moment because it slowed down to go through, or because the switch was set against it. Now it's going to accelerate 25. Or sorry, the track speed is potentially more than 25, but I've said you're limited to 25. If I push it up to 40, it's going to tell me the track speed is 25, so there's technically no point going over 25. I've set the orders to 25 because we're pushing a freight train, and that's not a good idea to run fast. And how are we doing for time? It is 10:44. Okay, so again we can pull up the house. This can take as long or as short as it wants, I don't care. So we'll do the settings. We're going to wait till 11:45. And if I pull up the house again, locations, East Whittier interchange, it's actually 12:30, so there's 45 minutes before a train comes and services the interchange. Now you don't see the train arrive or anything like that. Basically at 12:30 a bunch of cars will magically appear in the interchange, because that's how it works. Now, what else could I do while I'm waiting? Well, I could have pushed this up to L2 and then gone back to the passenger car and run a number of trips between here and Ela. To keep your passenger reputation up, you have to run one. You just have to run one passenger car to every station that you service. Now, just because you've unlocked a station doesn't mean you have to service it. I could just say, okay, when I've unlocked Bryson, I could say I'm still only going to run passenger service between Whittier and Ela and nowhere else. And it will penalise me initially because people will say, hey, there's a train line at Bryson and why isn't the train coming here? But eventually it will get used to it and it will just say, oh, you're not wanting to service Bryson, that's fine. I could even drop Ela from the service and just go Bryson Whittier. And if I did that, then eventually Whittier, passengers at Whittier will just dry up because I'm not servicing it, and my reputation will be fine because the game has gotten used to the fact that I couldn't give a rat's about people in Ela and taking them to the local towns. Anyway, this is, as we said, this is L1, Log 1, Pulpwood 1, and you can only fit 4 cars in there. If you're really careful and shove it right up to the end, you can get 5. But we have 8, so if you put 5 cars in there, it'll load the 5 cars up, then you have to move them out somewhere else and put the other 3 in there, and you have to babysit the loading, so really not worth it at this stage. L3 will take, I think, 6 cars, and it is a trailing drop, so you need the cars behind the locomotive, not in front of the locomotive. So I tend not to use L3 either. But as soon as we get a demand for more than 12 cars a day, let's pull. L2 has 4.2 logs at it at the moment, so they're producing 12 cars a day, 3 logs per car, 36 logs, and then so far it's produced 4.2. So it's going to be a while before the train gets loaded. We're just going to dump these cars here and leave them up here until tomorrow morning. And by tomorrow morning, the logging site will have produced 36 logs, and our train will be more than full because we've only got 8 cars, 3 8s are 24, and it's producing 12 cars. So I can load this complete train up once, and if I bring it back on the same day, it will only load up half the cars, and the other half will load the following day. Anyway, we have arrived at where we want to be. The other thing I do like about these cars is they're all random colours. So that one's a little bit red, a little bit brown. And when you put darker, lighter, you know, they're sort of random, and I leave them. You know, I don't look for uniform colours in all of my logging cars. It's like, yeah, different batches produced at different factories doing, you know, with slightly different colours on them. So we are going to L2. If I pull that out of the way, all the cars are within that highlighted area. Now with freight, they have to be within the highlighted area. So if this car was where this wheel is, it would not load. Okay, first things first. There is a slight incline here, so we're going to put a handbrake on. In fact, I am going to put 2 handbrakes on. Then I'm going to disconnect the locomotive. Then we're going to go reverse. And we're going to uncouple. Okay, by putting the handbrakes on, that means that these cars will not roll away. Go. Thank you. And 1AI, I used to religiously put 2 handbrakes on, and as soon as there was about 8 logs on the train, they would overcome the handbrakes and roll all the way down the hill, and I'd be pulling out of East Whittier Yard and come across a log train rolling towards me. Not a good thing. Things got broken, things had to get repaired. So that already has 0.1 log on it, that has 0.1 log on it, etc, etc. And you'll see we're now down to 3.7 logs on each car. And when I put the thing there, it does not include loads in cars on the line. So eventually we'll get to 0 logs here and this train will be partially loaded. We'll keep an eye on it, but for now, that's fine. AI road, reverse 25, let's go find our train. And this is pretty much going to coast down the hill because it's downhill all the way. And 8 minutes to 12. Again, as I said, I could take the passenger car down. If I pull up locations, Whittier Depot, go to the Whittier Depot. Oh, I'm in inside it. There are 18 passengers waiting. This has a capacity of 60. Do I want to run up and down the line for 10 minutes for 18 passengers? Let's check Ela. Blah. Ela has 15. So that's $33 for 20 minutes run up and down the line. I'm not sure it's really worth it. Now that said, we're already at FL1. That said, we could take the passenger car with us when we go to the bridge site, just because, hey, it's kill two birds with one stone. We can get paid for passengers and deliver the building supplies. Probably not going to bother. Like I said, we only have to deliver one passenger car to each station once per day. I didn't even have to bring it back. I could have kept it in Ela. When we unlock the trip to Bryson, I will probably run all the way down to Bryson and then do a round trip from Bryson to Whittier and back to Bryson. The passenger train will be stationed at Bryson once we unlock the line. But for right now, we'll stick with Whittier service. So what else can we do? Up here we have the tutorial. We have, oh, that's the console. That's good to know. Click on it twice, it goes away. The building. Our daily report, we don't have one. Locations, we have all the locations that we can visit. Milestones, we are repairing the Ela track and bridge. We could do the diesel refueling stand. I can't afford diesels, I'm not going to bother with that, at least for now. And purchasing the tractor silver is $10,000. We have $4,000, so not doing that either. Finances, you can take out a loan of $1,000, $5,000. Maximum we're allowed at the moment is $21,000. So I could take $4,000 or $5,000 loans and a $1,000 loan. Again, not going to bother doing that. They charge interest. I'm not really into paying interest for now. So, and that's our report, our financial report at the moment. Equipment, we have the 10-wheeler, which is at 73%. Doesn't tell us the tender, just tells us the locomotive. The mogul, oh, it's at 99%. We broke a thing. Actually, that might be servicing condition. We have a passenger car, which is still at 100%. We have a caboose. I'm going to sell that. Then we have skeleton cars for logs. A lot of those. We have a 2-bay hopper for coal, and we have a box car for supplies. Employees, I don't have any, just me. Crews, I haven't created any. And settings, typically what we're interested in is wait 1 hour and sleep. Interchange is served at 6 o'clock. I can change that. I can make it as early as 4 or as late as 10. 6 o'clock is fine. We might get a little bit bored with it being a little bit dark when we get up in the morning. So, trains will deteriorate. If they come off the track, they deteriorate big time. But the condition will drop over the course of the day the more you use the train. So it is good practice to park the train in a service shed just so that it's restored to 100% every morning. With these small locomotives, it's also a good idea to make sure you coal and water them before you leave for the day. This train can make it for an entire day. The 10-wheeler might have a challenge on that. I'm going to grab the caboose, I'm going to move it to the exchange yard, and I'm going to set it to sell. Actually, let's chase off there. Oh, that's actually set to run into the caboose. So, we're currently running AI Road. It has spotted the caboose. It's also spotted the fact that we're in the yard, so maximum speed is 10 miles an hour. But most importantly, or 15 miles an hour, most importantly, it's about to run into that thing there. And it's not set on yard mode. So it's saying, I'm coming close to that, I'm getting closer, and it's eventually going to stop and say, there's a thing in the way, please do something about it. So I'm going to let that happen. And eventually the train will stop, it will hoot, and just say, I am stuck. Please fix my situation. I'm going to switch it to manual. Brakes off, reverse. Of course, I could roll backwards a little bit faster. And then sit on the brake. Oops. Too much brakes. Now, technically, I should have one of these at the back of every train. At the moment, we're running in emergency mode. We are the only trains here, and frankly, actually, I'm not going to lace that up, and I've also no brakes on, so right click that, we'll inspect it. We will go to equipment, repair destination, not set, sell destination, East Whittier interchange. I can set the repair destination to the repair track if I want to. Now with East Whittier, both tracks are capable of repair and overhaul, so we need overhaul when the train gets old. For right now, haul that forward, so that's now set to sell. Now eventually, once we're running full-scale trains along the length of the tracks, I might get a caboose to stick on the back of the train. But for right now, this and if I press tab, it'll put a banner over to say this is where it's going to go. As soon as it gets there, that tab will grey out. So I know that is now in the interchange. We will apply the brake, disconnect the locomotive, and I'm gonna, oops. Okay then. Oops. Should shut the throttle off when you do something like that. Okay. So, I'm going to park the locomotive there, switch that, switch that. So switch is normal or reversed. It's generally a good practice to allow the switches, leave switches in normal mode, so you always know what they're going to be. Okay, I am not going to wait much longer. So we'll wait 1 hour, and oh look, magic! A train came. It left us some stuff. And all of this is going to the Ela bridge site. So, let's do that thing. That's switched correctly. Reverse. So this locomotive, 2 cars, 78 tons and 52 feet long. And it's quite nice, but as the coal and water goes down, the weight of the train goes down too. And doink. Okay, brake on. Now this is 913 tons. Okay, I'm gonna need to make sure that the train brakes are connected. There is a handbrake on this. Also, this is very badly oiled, so we'll make sure that's done. How am I doing? 93. We'll oil the locomotive too. Good practice to do that, or you get a hot box and fires and it's all very bad. And things take damage when the axles are on fire. So we'll release that handbrake. So first car, second car has a handbrake on. We'll release that one. Now that one, these cars are in very bad condition. So handbrake's off on that one. Oh, that's not too bad. So we'll work our way along. We'll oil all of the axles, and all we're doing is pointing at the axle or the running gear. Press the left button until it's completely oiled. Now, if you're running with an AI, if you get what's called a hot box, basically there's not enough lubrication here, so the axles start running hot, the train will be limited to 15 miles an hour. So you kind of want to avoid that condition, so good practice. Stuff gets delivered to the yard, you go down, you oil it all, and then you're all good. Let's bring this guy up. Control T will move the man. There he is, and make me the man. So I am going to climb onto the train, and we will sit here now. Oops. You can control the train from this point. There is the train brake, the locomotive brake, which is at 100% at the moment. There is the reverser, which is currently set to reverse. Left click, push it forwards. We're now at 100% forwards. Pull back on that. Brake is released. There's the throttle, and that's the okay. Oh, that lets the water, the condensed water out of the cylinders so they don't blow up. Okay, how are we doing? Yeah, and we're running at 4 miles an hour. It's gonna take pretty much everything we've got. Press 2. No, follow. Yeah, this is a 900-ton train, of which 80 is the locomotive, but we have a lot of weight behind us. We are going to need all the steam. If I drop that off a bit, no acceleration. Little acceleration. It should start slowing down when I drop it to 15. No? Okay. But I want that full open while we're getting going. Once we're up to about 12 miles an hour, I'll drop that off to about 80. And 12 miles an hour, we'll drop that off to about 80. And now that we've got the momentum, we don't have to use 100% of the steam into the cylinders. And once we hit 15 miles an hour, the cylinders are compressing and releasing so quickly that you can't get 100% of the steam into the cylinder before it starts reversing back the other way and going into exhaust mode. And that's what the cutoff is for. So in real life, as you get faster, you would reduce the cutoff 80, 70, 60. Typically, I think about 40 is the most efficient you can get. But in this game, it's a very simplified operation. It just occurred to me. I'm not sure we switched that. No, we did not. Okay. There might be a bit of a rise here. 17 miles an hour. We're slowly accelerating. If we had the other locomotive, I could lash them together and double head this, and we might actually make a better speed. But I don't have another locomotive, so yeah, we'll just trundle through as best we can. Now the plan here is we'll take this up to the bridge site. I will do a run round and push it onto the bridge site, and then we will wait until this train has unloaded. Once it's unloaded, phase 2 of the bridge site will be available, and we have a little bit more money. So we sold the caboose for $3,750. We received 13 cars. 15 cars, engine and tender is 2 of them, so 13 cars. We have all of them, and I set this to switch over here so we don't crash into the passenger car. As I said, we could connect to the passenger car and haul out with the passengers. Typically, in real world terms, you would put the passenger car immediately behind the locomotive, because passenger cars are always fitted brakes. Freight cars aren't always fitted brakes. 1950s they started, or more and more fitted freight locomotives were, freight cars were available. But the other reason for putting a locomotive right up against the passenger car is steam heat. Passenger cars would use the steam exhaust from the locomotive to heat the car, so the passengers didn't freeze when it was cold. And then you'd put your freight cars after that, because freight cars don't have the ability to run steam heat, and some freight cars don't have brake pipes, brake lines. Not a situation here. We could just stick it on the back, it wouldn't matter. But like I said, not going to bother. There's not enough passengers for $33 round trip. What I really want to do is to get the bridge built so we unlock Bryson, because that's the first big step up for income. And we have to get 3 of these trains out to the bridge site to repair the tracks. Oh, I'm actually impeding the ability of the train to go faster. So drop that to 60. Yep. So at 80 we were stuck at 19 miles an hour. We're now at 60 and accelerating. There is a speed limit of 30 along this stretch, but we're not anywhere close to that. Down to 4.4 tons and 2,900. We are chewing through the water, but we are at 100% throttle. So something you need to keep an eye on is your water usage rate. If I shut the throttle off, we're not using any water. If I push it up to about 15, you'll see the water slowly going. So the more throttle you have going, the faster you will go through your water. And trust me, if this locomotive was trying to haul this 900-ton train up some of the hills on this line, we would be doing 1 mile an hour with the throttle full open, and you run out of water really quickly. So it's generally a good idea when you get a new locomotive to figure out what its limits are. And if necessary, you might have to, if there were some steep grades on the line from here to Ela, I might have to consider, okay, I'll take 4 cars and then I'll go back and get the next 4 and go back and get the last 4. Or 5. But you get used to this train, this locomotive. Oh, we're doing 30 miles an hour, dude. And there is a 30 mile an hour bend on this line. But yeah, if this train can do 30 miles an hour, 900 tons on the flat. But there is quite a grade up to and down from Bryson. I think Governor's Island is the top of the hill, but you climb up to Governor's Island from this side, you climb up from Governor's Island from the other side, and that can be a problem if you're hauling a heavy load. That can just wreck a locomotive. Yeah, a locomotive can just say, I can't do this, and slowly the speed drains off. That will be the fun. Okay, sorry about that. Mrs. Osa calling. And so I'm trying to do everything with one hand. But yes, the tricksiness of trying to disconnect a train when you've only got a mouse in one hand. So that was demonstrating the way you can open and shut the brake valve line valves manually. Get this up to about 20. You don't have to hang around. We can turn the banners off for a moment. So as we know, Ela Bridge site is up the line and round the corner. So we will get them positioned. And I'm going to leave the locomotive on site. Because then we can haul it back once it's done at the end of the day. So, start applying the brakes. And let's go connect up to the train. So this is completely ignoring the tutorial and getting things started a little quicker than normal. So we actually ordered the bridge site supplies and then basically demanded a delivery of the parts as soon as the connecting railroad could supply them to us, which is 2.5 hours after we asked for them. Okay, we are connected. We'll connect the glad hands, we'll release that brake, we will release that brake, and all the brakes are off. And again, we are going to struggle moving this 900-ton train. So it takes a little bit to get rolling. Once we're rolling, and I don't think sand is a thing yet, but that looks like the wheels are slipping a bit, which is possible since we're running at 100%. That could actually wreck the locomotive. No, we're still at 99% condition. Basically, you can't put too much power to the wheels. This is metal on metal, so there is not a lot of traction. What you're relying on is the weight of the locomotive on the wheel to create as much traction as possible. And if you apply too much power, the wheels will slip, and then the locomotive gets damaged because you just have wheels spinning and no movement. Anyway, we're moving. And the line through Whittier is set for the alternate track, so we'll be able to get past the passenger car. And actually, you know what's a good plan? Let's go to the back of the train, the notional back of the train. Make sure we don't crash into the end of the line. That's usually a bad plan as well, because it breaks things get damaged. There's the bridge. So if I turn the tab on, that's already hit this line, that's hit the line. And slowly but surely all these cars will grey out the banner as they reach their destination. How are we doing? We are approaching the end of the line. I think I can probably drop power. Just coast the rest of the way. And that's probably good enough. Let's put the air brakes on. So you might have noticed as I started to apply the air brakes, the trains, there's only a little bit of air, and that colour there is how heavily the brakes are applied. So we will slow down very, very slowly as the pressure decreases. The brakes get more heavily applied. We reach our maximum once the line is full, but you can see it takes a while. Let's put the locomotive brake on. If I release that, it takes time for the locomotive to pump enough air into the system to release the brakes. Okay, let's go back to, we're starting to roll. That's a bad idea. A handbrake there, and a handbrake there. Actually, I don't think we were rolling, it was just letting off the slack. Okay, we will disconnect the locomotive. Back it off a ways. And full brakes on the locomotive. So if we go back there, we are easily within the delivery. Even the locomotive is still in the delivery area. Okay, so this was probably 50 tons. It's now down to 49.8, 49.8, 52.3. So we need to wait for this to all happen. So let's wait an hour. And that's nearly empty. That's nowhere near empty. We'll wait another hour. And looks like usage varies. It's 3:30 in the afternoon. We'll wait another hour. And we'll wait another hour. 5 o'clock. And now we're starting to see some of the cars are empty. This one is probably about half full. That one's nearly empty. That one still has stuff on it. That's empty, that's empty. So 3 of the cars are empty, the rest are slowly emptying. It's 5:30, and the reason I stopped there is I wait another hour. It will pass 6 o'clock. It's now 6 o'clock, and if I go to that one there, we will find 6:30. Okay, let's go to railroad. Oh, daily reports are compiled at 6 p.m. Do not have a daily report yet. Still only have, oh, we have 4 empty cars now. Should we go again? Oh, that's R. Oh, the little house. Settings. Wait 1 hour. Now it's getting dark. Still no report. Ay. I was kind of expecting. There we go. Okay, phase 1 of Ela has been done. Oh, I think we get the report at midnight. But locations, nope. Milestones, repair track Ela, start next phase. Gonna hold off on that for now, but this is all looking like it's ready to return. So we'll select that, we'll select AI yard, forward, 5 cars. And we'll let the AI drive this because it might do a more efficient job than I do. We've still got 4.2 tonnes of coal, 2,800 gallons of water, and the locomotive is still in 99% condition. So let us connect the glad hands, turn the brake off, reset, AI road, reverse, 25 miles an hour in reverse. There we go. And follow. Now the AI does all of the cylinder taps and turns the light on correctly. And we are accelerating quite promptly, much better than I can do it. So, do I want to spend $1,000 now or wait until I get the first day report? As I said, I think the first day report is at midnight. The report is prepared at 6 o'clock, so everything we did up to 6 o'clock is included in that first report. But we don't receive the report until midnight. And then at midnight, I'm going to want to make sure that I take all the contracts that I can so that we have a huge delivery to the yard tomorrow. So we're going to have a lot of work to do on day 2. But this is effectively the end of day 1. I suppose I was kind of it doesn't matter. We'll let an hour slip by. So what's going on at Ela? So this is the freight bill. We have 13 cars in the location of Ela that need to go to East Whittier interchange, and yeah, we can see these are all heading for East Whittier interchange. The other nice thing about this is if you put your mouse over it, it will tell you the approximate direction and distance to East Whittier, so 2.7 miles, and we're doing 25 miles an hour. So it's going to take us 4 minutes to get there. As I said, we did sell the caboose, so that's 7,800. We now have in the bank, and we're not spending anything. I'm not going to refill the coal. Go to locations, East Whittier engine service. Locomotive 1 is ready to run. We do have $38 in wages to pay. The coal tower still has 2 tons, and we still have 35.5 tons of spare parts. But if I go to the repair track, and this is empty. It's now ready to go to East Whittier. That's going to cost about $2,500 to refill. We've got 35.5 tons of parts. Frankly, I don't need to refill it. That one still has 43.9 tons of coal. It's good. So let's go back to our little locomotive. We still have 4 tons of coal. Looks like he's running at full power though, because that water's chunking down quite quickly. We got enough water to get home, and if we don't make it home, locomotive number 1 is now fully ready to run, so we can rescue this if we needed to. Never a good idea to run the trains or run the line with one train, because if your train runs out of fuel, water or coal, it's stuck until you can rescue it. So you need another locomotive to rescue it. That's usually a pain in the butt. Especially on your main freight. If we consider this was 900 tons, that's probably a main freight. And yeah, once we get up to sort of 2,000 tons running between Whittier and Bryson, this locomotive can't rescue the train. It can rescue half the train, maybe. But if the locomotive's at that end and we're coming from Whittier, I can't haul the train back to Whittier to refuel the locomotive at the front, because that's too much weight for this locomotive to haul. Kind of like Farming Simulator. You buy one big tractor, and if that's the only tractor you've got that can run the planter, the cultivator and the plough, it doesn't matter how many other tractors you've got, that's the only one that can do those 3 jobs. So just be aware, this locomotive, not very heavy. If we go and look at plus locos, how about that consolidation? 58,000 pounds of tractive effort. The locomotive we're driving 16,000. So we can haul that locomotive. That's 58 tons. We can haul that locomotive, not a problem. Actually, no, that's 268,000 tons. So 268 tons. That locomotive's 268 tons, and another 72 for the coal car, plus 12 tons of coal, plus 8,500 gallons of watering tons. If you've got any weight of train behind that as well, this isn't going to be your rescue locomotive. Well, we're already back at Whittier. And we're switched to the loop. So what I'm going to try and do here is we get to midnight. I will see what our daily report tells us. We'll set up contracts. We'll order the next round of bridge repair cars. And then we'll see what gets delivered at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then that's end of this stream. The stream's actually taking quite a while. How long have we been going? 2 hours just to do all of this. But I did do a lot of talking, I did do a lot of prep. Now that we have 2 locomotives, we can get twice as much done. I will AI a lot of the jobs, and probably switching, I will do all the switching. I have to do all the switching, because I either do it with the AI or I do it manually, but either way I have to be supervising. But I can send the other locomotive to hitch up to the passenger car and do a passenger run while I'm rearranging all the freight ready for delivery. But we'll see how that works out tomorrow. Actually, not tomorrow. Today is Tuesday. If I do a stream tomorrow, it's going to be quite short because church tomorrow. So I'd have to stream before church. I have to leave at 6 o'clock. That's not happening. I don't get home till about 8:30, 9 o'clock. At which point we'll see how much time we have left. But it's coming up for real time 9:30, so it's a shame you can't wait for less than an hour. I'd like to wait for 22 minutes, but that's not going to happen. Okay, so here we are. Not sure how... yeah, see, we've already lost 4% on the oil. But we're going to drop these off in the yard. Somebody else is going to take them all away, and we're not worried about delivering these fully oiled. Locomotive is a little more important. 96, and that's probably 96 too, because they're part of the same consist. And I can probably, actually we'll leave it at 25. I think this is going to slow down when we hit the yard. Or not. Okay, we'll drop it to 15. So it's now applying the brakes across the length of the train and then releasing them. But while it's going through the releasing them, it's still slowing down. Let's get back to the train. So I've got the banners on. We'll see when the last car hits East Whittier interchange. And at that point, boop, I'll set that to stop. Okay, we'll apply a handbrake and we will shift coupler and back up at 15. We might stick a second brake on. Typically when stuff's delivered to the yard, two vehicles have the have handbrakes on, so I kind of feel it's probably a good practice to leave trains with two handbrakes on. If it's a short train, I'll probably only bother with one, but that was 13 cars, so switched against us. There we go. Release the train from the yard and set the speed to 0. Stick it forwards and run through the yard at 15. Now, going to have to make sure we're clear through. So that's clear straight, that's clear, that's clear, and back to follow. So, a little low on coal and water. Typically you can get away with parking a locomotive at the end of the day and topping it up first thing in the morning. Do the same thing every time, is my suggestion. That way you don't end up leaving the yard with a ton of coal and getting halfway to your destination and realizing I might not make this, because if you either do all your refueling last thing before you finish the day, or first thing in the morning, you'll have less problems. I'm going to do it in the morning. So I want to throw that switch. There we go. Throw that switch. And brakes. Throw that switch. And we will roll this back into the shed. So 99% condition. And it can already see the the spare parts car at the back of the shed. Might stop us early. So need to be careful about that. See, there's only 16 minutes until midnight. But the only option I have is to wait 1 hour. Okay, let's go manual. Brake off. Roll the locomotive into the shed. And brake on. Stick it in neutral. Oops, neutral. There you go. That brake's on. We will put the handbrake on. I don't think steam locomotives actually have handbrakes. The tenders do. We can turn the normal brake off. Both of those locomotives are now locked. Handbrake on, handbrake on. You can see the little purple diddly bob. Okay, we will wait an hour. And there we go. So, I pull up the report. 045, we sent a payment of $3. We paid $3 for 0.6 hours of engineer services. So balance is now $7,798. The East Whittier engine service paid 39 wages for the crew. Oh, engineer services, that's the AI. I paid $3 for the AI to drive me around. And my reputation has now changed from 0 to 110%. So if we now look here, we can see daily report, not a lot happened. Our overall reputation is now 110%. We got 100% passengers, 100% on equipment, 100% freight performance, and 100% safety. We didn't come off the tracks. Our phase cost discount is 25%, our equipment discount is 10%, and our repair speed bonus is 50%, so things get repaired quicker. Also, our mogul is now at 100%, and we can take contracts up to tier 3. So, milestones. We get 25% off phase costs. So instead of paying $1,000, we're only paying $750. Good news for me. And we have ordered the phase 2 cars. Actually, back there, locations. We can now take all of the contracts. And I will do. So, farm supply has no contract. We are now going to take tier 3 contract. Tomorrow at tier 3, I don't know if that means I get a delivery at the next delivery or not. Sawmill, we're going to go tier 3, and I'm just going to take tier 3 contracts across the board. As I earn the ability to unlock higher tier contracts, I'm not going to take that. We're going to limit ourselves to tier 3 contracts because we don't have any big locomotives, and I don't need a ton of stuff getting delivered that I can't handle. So Whittier Sawmill tomorrow is tier 3. Connolly Creek, I can't do anything with these cars yet, I don't think. They are loaded. If we go to operations, unload, I still don't have an unload because I don't have a contract at the sawmill yet. Now, the last thing we're going to do is sleep until the first scheduled interchange service. So 6 o'clock, we've received 8 cars at the Whittier interchange. If I go down to the Whittier interchange, we will see what we will see. And we have a bunch of bridgeside stuff. Nothing else has arrived. So we don't have any active contracts to do yet. I didn't turn the light off on number 2. Rear full, rear dim, headlight off. There we go. So, none of our contracts came up for today. So the only thing we have available to do for today is to drag the bridge stuff out and to run the passenger service. That's all that day 2 is going to be. So day 2 is going to be a very, very quick day. Although that said, what I can do is if I get all of this stuff to the bridge site early, that's going to be released. We got it at 12:40 yesterday, so 6 hours. It's going to be later in the evening. Probably, well, no, it's going to be sometime in the afternoon, 3 o'clock maybe, and I'll be able to request another service once this is complete. So we should be able to get the bridge site finished tomorrow, and we'll have all of the tier 3 contracts ready to run the next day, day 2. If I'd taken the contracts immediately, they'd all be tier 1, which don't pay as well. But I think for right now, I'm going to call this where we are. So, thank you for watching. This will be dropped to... Oh, I really don't like doing that. But this will be dropped to YouTube as a single video of 2 hours, 22 minutes. So, it may not be what people are looking for, but it is what it is. As days get longer and more jobs are prevalent, I'll probably split things up. I won't be able to stream an entire day. And I may skip things along the way. So you've seen me take the logs up. I may do that off a stream. But anyway, as I said, thank you for watching. Have a good evening, and I will be back maybe tomorrow, possibly more likely Thursday. But have fun, everyone. I'm out of here.